And
we're
we're live.
live. Was not planned, but we did that at the same time. So there you go.
Sorry we're a few minutes late today for good reason.
Good reason. Had some technical ear pods deciding if we want to be seen and be heard. like lots
We
of
do,
lots
we
of
really do.
yes. And so welcome everyone. It's Thursday. It's June the 5th. If you are joining us, it's okay. Good reason. Let's not
I can
listen
I can
to
hear you in the
I
background.
we're live now on the internet too, folks. So let me just say that. So yes,
As
so
we're locking in.
as we're logging in on the phone to see who's joining us, because we don't necessarily always depends on which channel you may join us on. But we repost this and restream it to other channels. So um, welcome, guys. This is the first installment of our new process that we're doing, and it's live coaching for you. So, super excited about this. This is the LinkedIn Rockstar Academy. We're going to do live coaching the first and the third Thursday every single week. We're going to have one topic a month that we're going to be picking and really diving deep. And I'm going to kind of just lay this out because it's a little bit different. Some of the things that we're going to be doing, very interactive. This is for you to like, hey, I can go watch the replay. I can go back and say, what was that question? What did I answer? So grab a pad of paper, pen, Google Doc, whatever you use, whatever makes you happy. Want to give a shout out really quickly. Yes, we did switch places because I had audio issues, so I left and came back, and so we're mixing
I
it up
mean, she could easily
completely,
flip them
Carol.
around if it bothers you.
I could actually do that. But so welcome, Leanne. I want to give a quick shout out to Meryl who watched my webinar with Udacity today. So thank you, Meryl, for coming and supporting me. Truly appreciated. Yeah, and so just big things are happening across the board. But you know what? We're just gonna tonight is all about kickstarting your brand clarity and just getting ready to really revamp and redo your LinkedIn profile. So that all being said, I want to have Shelle introduce herself, then I'll introduce myself, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Well, thank you. Hey everyone. I'm Shelle, your LinkedIn cheerleader. Don't worry, I have my pom-poms ready to go here. Still working on the megaphone, and as I lock in for this evening's session, I just want to remind you that unofficially sponsored by Joyburst, because I always have one in my hand. Had to go run and make sure I had a cold one ready to go. I'm drinking watermelon this evening. Again, not here to promote Joyburst by any means, but it is something that is readily by my side and helping me focus, especially when I engage on LinkedIn. So anyway, a little bit more about me, your LinkedIn cheerleader. I am an engagement specialist. I am here to help you shine on LinkedIn, to feel more confident in your online presence, and to engage more effectively. I really want you to be aware of the time and energy that you put into your LinkedIn presence so that it doesn't feel draining, and also so that you maximize your time and energy here. I think last week we were talking all about like how you could use, well, not all about, but I reminded everybody about like what you could do in 22 minutes on LinkedIn, or, you know, I think you gave a you said 10 minutes, Melanie, right? And I said 22. But yeah, like I want you to make sure that you're using the time and energy most effectively here and getting the most out of it. And that's why I'm really excited for tonight's topic, discovering your why, because like if you don't have that clear, everything else you do is not going to be super effective. So, Mel, did you take a moment to introduce yourself? I want you to do that.
I have not, so I'm going to just give out a few shout outs, hellos there to everybody that's joining us. And of course, as Shelle said, we are super excited. Tonight's our first edition of this new format that we're doing, which is live coaching sessions, discovering your why. It's the foundation of your LinkedIn success. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But for those that don't know me, you might be catching it on the replay, or this is your first time watching. I'm a career coach. I'm a LinkedIn strategist. And you know what? I am also the proud co-creator of the LinkedIn Rockstar Academy. I'm adding that to my little 30-second spiel, folks. And so I get to do this a lot with Shell, which is a privilege and an honor. So tonight, if you've been struggling to show up consistently on LinkedIn or feeling like your profile or your content just doesn't represent you, um, tonight is the night where we reset. Okay. It's June. We're halfway through the year. It is a great opportunity to reset our profiles and start off fresh. So, to kick things off, some of you guys have already done this because you guys know what to do. But if you're first time joining, or if you catch it on the replay, drop a comment like, hey, replay. But let us know where you're joining from and let us know in the comments. Like we said, these are going to be interactive sessions. So for us to be really super successful with this, we need your support. We need you to, really be like, okay, I'm going to think about this question. So answer them in the chat. What's one word that describes how you're feeling about LinkedIn lately? So we'll let that kind of simmer there and give us a comment or two about your feelings about LinkedIn. But let's keep it nice because, we don't want to upset the LinkedIn gods. And
The
we
LinkedIn
have,
gods.
and we have
I
them
must
kind
have
of working.
already pissed them off today.
I know. We have them working right now on Shell's profile to get her, I was going to say your twirling banner. That would be a great name for it. Your
My
twirling
twirling
banner.
bit. So it's like a baton, but a banner.
So we want to keep it nice. So here's one of the things. Well, I'm going to let Shell start off because this is when we started the LinkedIn Rockstar Academy, we have a whole outline of everything that we do from like the start to the finish. So Shell, why do we start with this? And give the audience an idea of kind of, the direction that we look for when we're starting and why we go with this.
Yeah, I mean, we always come back to like doing kind of what we call like a personal brand audit in order to make sure our why is really aligned and like get really clear on it. And we always start with this because one, we want to meet people where they're at and not dive too far into the weeds if you're not clear on those first few foundational elements. And two, so that you can really get back to those basics of like what am I here for? What am I hoping to get out of it? What are the again? So another way to say that would be what are the goals and intentions? What are the expectations that I have of this platform, and how do I plan on using it? If you're not clear on why you're showing up here, like I said before, the rest kind of like can fall to the wayside because you need a clear foundation for this. So that's the reason that we always start with this, and then we can build and cultivate from there.
I want to say something too. Like I even talked about this a little bit, not necessarily in reference to LinkedIn, but this is also really important. This is something I referenced it on the webinar I did earlier today because I mentioned that oftentimes when I'm in career coach mode, people want to jump right to the resume, and then they want to jump right to the LinkedIn profile. They want to get to the end goal, and I even have one client right now that we're working on, and truthfully her LinkedIn profile has much more weight on this because she's looking for advisory board opportunities, and that's her focus and her direction. And she's like, I want to start applying. I want to start. I'm like, whoa, we got to rein it in. Why? Because your LinkedIn profile doesn't reflect this. Okay, your LinkedIn profile, there's so many things that we've got to do so that that person that you reach out to that say, hey, I want to be a part of your board or your advisory board or your board of directdirectors, they look at that and go, yes, that's the person that I want on our board. We have to show that, brand, and but our brand is tied to our why. And it's not enough to say, well, I want to do this or I want that type of client. We've got to have that information right there. So let's go ahead and start with tonight's. This is basically the start of your brand, what we call your brand audit. Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 5, one is having no clue. 5 is you could teach the workshop on it. Let me up on stage with you. How confident are you in articulating your why to your audience? And I'm going to reiterate this. This does not matter if you are a job seeker, Does not matter if you're a consultant, entrepreneur, small business owner. This Everybody needs to be able to articulate this. So if you're right there in the middle, give us a solid 3. So feel free. You don't have to just drop in the comments those numbers that where you feel you are at today, and want to give a shout out to Mel Richards, and I see Americo there as well. So welcome, guys. Thank you so much. So yeah, so drop your number. No judgment here. This is a trusting, safe space for everybody. We're here so that we can get better at what we do. This is your starting point. Any thoughts on any additional thoughts, I guess I should say?
Yeah, I mean,
diving in.
Perhaps it would help if we could tell our audience what our why is, or even maybe not even go that far, but like how we sat down and figured out what our why is. Because I know I've pivoted a little bit over the years. I've changed career paths. I've like niched down a little bit here and there. Like, but for us to come back, and you and I don't exclusively serve the same audience all the time, right? So like, what have you done to get really clear on your why?
A couple of things that I have particularly done, and this is, goes kind of more heart centered in terms of what I specifically look for. My goal is to enable professionals to stop feeling frustrated with the job search and in their career, but more importantly, not just the job search, but their careers. And that's tied to giving them the strategy and the support, but also the confidence to own their own story, and to attract the right opportunities, because visibility creates opportunities. That's just the reality of the world that we live in. And so that is one of the biggest, and that's kind of tied to, also my why goes into like what I'm really intentional on in terms of working with my clients and what I'm looking to be able to do with them. So that was kind of a very convoluted thing. See, I'm not doing a great job articulating my why, which sometimes happens. But definitely it's one of the things of just being able to empower is the right word for this, is really empowering my clients to show up and to be able to give them the tools and the capabilities of landing the right opportunity for them, whatever that might be, because everybody obviously is different. So and that's also been something that I have not necessarily always had. When I first started my business, to be very honest with you, I didn't know anything about having a why. I didn't know anything about, like, I was just like barely, just like, okay, I'll write resumes, right? Like that's what I do. But it was very simple, and it wasn't, there wasn't a lot of thought in that process. So I think that's
Yeah.
one of the things that is being able to empower my clients to obtain the opportunities that they're looking for.
Well, as your LinkedIn cheerleader, and this goes not just for Melanie, but for everyone who's watching here, hopefully by the end of this month, right? I will be able to come back in our third week of this and do an official like LinkedIn cheer and be like, you got your why kind of thing. Like that's coming to my mind. Like I want you to be clear on it. But for me, what's coming up too is I keep thinking about like be the change you want to see in the world, or like, and in my case, it's be the change that I was missing or that I felt like I was missing. So my why is heavily rooted in support, and this goes back to I've been in doing this work for the better part of 6 years now, since 2019, and coming into that I I was actively in burnout. I was healing. You guys may or may not know bits and pieces of this story. Uh, I felt very much like I had no idea what I wanted to do next. I didn't know what kind of work I wanted to do. I didn't know how I wanted to show up. I was a shell of a person. Pun, I guess, intended there. And and I really just all around personal, professional, health, wealth, wellness, like spirituality, I emotional, mental, like all of it. I was lacking support. I truly felt like even my closest friends, like I couldn't turn to them for certain things. Um, Professionals like didn't know how to help me. Doctors didn't know what on every level. I felt like I was missing support. And so I became my own support because initially I didn't know where else to turn. So I was the change that I wanted to see. Well, fast forward, now I've made sure that every step of the way, I can now provide that support and meet people where they're at and be that support. And that's really how the LinkedIn cheerleader was born. But it's even more than LinkedIn. It's like, it's deeply rooted in like, I want people to feel safe and supported no matter how they show up, whether you're lacking confidence, whether you're introverted, whether you're like, you just need somebody cheering from the rafters, like I'm going to be your person. So my why really stems back to the lack of support that I was missing, and the impact and the support that I want to make sure that other people feel from that.
I also want to say something here, and not to get too off topic, but I think this is also really important. Is that whys can be very, um, they're deeply rooted, obviously, in terms of that, but um, and you may be like, whoa, that's a lot to unpack. But truthfully, like I always I marvel at the fact of like getting a chance recently to hear all of Shelle's story, which I've always known bits and pieces of it, but like we've had an opportunity recently just to have a conversation and thinking back roughly the same time frame of my own story, like how the world aligned for us, the two of us, to come together. And I want to share that because this is the this is the product of that. Okay. The LinkedIn Rockstar Academy is the product of that. It's literally feeling like, oh my God, I found somebody that, totally didn't just buy into like, oh, you have to do it this way. And we both did it that way. We both like, information overload for both of us of like, okay, what information can I get? How do I show up on this platform? Okay, this isn't working for me. Like, this sucks. Like, I mean, and then just finally figuring it out in a way that felt, yeah, it feels authentic to us. And truthfully, that's what we want you to feel. We want that to resonate with you, where you can turn down the noise of what's happening on this platform and really focus on your goals and really achieve the things that you want to achieve. I wasn't going to be a business owner, an entrepreneur. I was going to stay in recruiting. This little engine that I created all of a sudden just started growing, and I didn't have a clue how to show up on this platform, not in this way. I was on the platform, but not in this way. I didn't articulate a why when I was a recruiter. I even just commented on one of my former managers. He's doing a newsletter now, and I commented, I was like, I wish recruiters would get this. I wish recruiters would get that how they're doing it on this platform is the old way, but there's a way to show up and attract talent to your profile in a way that recruiters are not doing it today. Had I known all this stuff, oh my gosh, game changer for my career as a recruiter. But I think we've already asked the question of like, you're able to articulate your why. This is the core purpose that drives you to support, that drives you to support others in however that might be. So whatever type of industry you're in, type of role, anything, things of that nature. So I want you, if you're watching this and if you feel stuck on this one, I just want you to write the word stuck in the chat. And I want you to also know you're not alone, because both Shell and I, we've gone back and forth on like redefining our why, going through these exercises, because as you grow in your business, industries change, things are happening, all these things are happening in the outside world. Your why might also change. Your audience might change. What's driving you may change as you grow as an individual. Shell, any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you kind of just said it, and so I'll paraphrase a little bit here. We're always changing. Like life is gonna life, LinkedIn's gonna LinkedIn, and things are gonna happen along the way. So like just as much as we change, the platform changes, and we have to kind of like pivot along with it and see what may constantly, not every single day, every single moment, every single second, but like periodically check in, maybe like once a quarter, to assess what has changed. Is what I have been doing still working for me? Do I still have the same goals, or has that changed somewhere along the way? Do I still want the same things? What does success look like? Or have you moved the needle for that? Because that happens too, right? Like we're constantly like never reaching the finish line because the finish line doesn't exist. So we do need to like regularly, I don't want to say constantly over and over again, but we do need to regularly, periodically, occasionally go back and just make sure we're still aligned to what matters right now. Like what is the goal right now? What are the steps? What are the actions I can take right now to get closer to that and to do it consistently? And so, yeah, things may change. Your audience may change. The way LinkedIn works for you may change. The way you need to show up may change, like how we recently pivoted from LinkedIn audios to LinkedIn lives. Like we kind of just roll with the punches and need to go back and figure out, okay, well, if this is no longer an option, what's the next best thing, or what else can we do to still show up and support and be of service and make sure that we're doing the best that we can and taking the right actions instead of doing something that no longer works or serves us.
Perfect. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop in the chat. We're still here to answer your questions. We're still here to, this is our focus for tonight, is really to focusing on this why, to walk you through this process so that you can really be developing it, thinking of things. Maybe you are solid on your why, and that's wonderful, but are there some gaps in that? Is there ways that we can enhance it? Can we better improve, I hate to say better improve it, but are there ways that we can make sure it's better articulated on your profile? Things along those lines. So, one of the next questions that we want to ask everybody is, your personal. Do you know what you're promising your audience, and does it feel true to you? So, share in the comments with what's one word or phrase that describes what your promise is behind your work. And remember, that promise can come in a lot of different things. It doesn't, that can come in, whether that's in confidence, authenticity. Try to think of some other terms that, that might entail. So that can, but the point is that can come in a lot of different ways, depending on what what your why is, what your purpose is. What is that promise or that offer that you're giving to your clients, or to help you reach the right audience? And Shell, how would you answer that question?
It's really hard to boil it down to one word, isn't it?
I know. But if
And
somebody
I'm sitting here like, well, I've already told you that the root at the root of things, it's the support, right? For me. But like really the offer for me is encouragement. Support is support is like a guarantee. Like that's ingrained in me. Like what comes with that support is the encouragement to like keep showing up as you, to keep figuring things out, to stay consistent, to be confident in yourself. Like so many things are a byproduct of that support and encouragement. So really like yeah, without like beating it senseless, like right, like it's the support and the encouragement for me. And if I've used support too much, then it's encouragement. That would be my word. What about you, Mel?
This one's actually easy for me. So this is where these questions come into play. So for me, it's empowerment. So regardless if you hire me to write your resume, work with you on LinkedIn, maybe it's interview skills, maybe it's job searching, whatever you hire me for, I want to make sure you feel empowered to go out there, that you're well informed, you have all the tools that you need, and that you feel strong and confident in terms of that. And what I often find with my typical client when I'm working with them is usually individuals that have been with their company for 5, 10, 20 years, haven't been in the job market, realizing this is not the job market they were in last, and are feeling overwhelmed, but often have had, some confidence issues. And, I've had the opportunity to have some amazing conversations today. So, to me, that is, to me, that's one of the things that for me is, if somebody can walk away from a conversation, or if they've hired me and they've walked away with that, is really empowerment. And for all of our business owners and entrepreneurs and people that are in business, one of the things that, and I'm going to give to my LinkedIn guru, Judy Fox, shout out to Judy, is, and she taught me this little trick, was a lot of people, and I think Mel Richards probably will remember when she gave this advice, was not to put the word help in, like, you see that word help. It's usually I help, I help. And the reality is that doesn't give your audience you want to be the catalyst for them to achieve their goals. You want to be the catalyst. And when we kind of help, we don't necessarily, there's so many stronger words than we can use for help. So if you've got that in your headline somewhere, I just encourage you to kind of think about that a little bit, because yeah, I help people do things, but it definitely, my why, though, it's tied to that empowerment piece. The help piece comes from behind the scenes. Um, so Mel Richards has a question, and I just want to, I'll share this with you, Shell, and get your thoughts. How often do you share intros posts? After 17 years on this platform, she's not sure I've ever shared her why in writing. Finally, not just behind the scenes, practicing more on audio or live streams. What advice would you give to Mel Richards on that?
I I see it in people's content all the time. It's like the allow me to reintroduce myself, or like the here's me in like uh, there's no right or wrong answer here unless you're like reintroducing yourself every single damn day. I there's the same way that you may not know all the nuances and details of like all every aspect of my story, my journey, like there's several different stories. I can't possibly tell you all of them in one sitting. We would be here for hours, if not days. But like maybe maybe every so often you want to introduce a different part of yourself or reintroduce yourself to people who are new in your audience who may have not have seen your previous story or the previous instance where you shared it. So I do think it's okay to put those stories out there every so often. So if you haven't done it after 17 years, maybe now's the time to put one out that where people can come back to it. And if you've done it more and more, so I'm speaking to everyone there, not just Mel Richards. But like if you are doing it more on audio and live streams, as I know Mel Richards is, then maybe you don't need to share it in a post because it lives now in other places for people to now regularly access it and safely access it in a way that feels good for you. Do you need to create a post on that if that's not your preferred way to share it? No. But if you feel okay to tell your story and share it more proactively and regularly, there's no, by all means, as long you're not reintroducing yourself in a different way, shape, and form every single day, go ahead, tell your story. Let people who are going to gravitate toward you find you and hear what you have to say.
I think it's good too. I think I like Shell's comment about the live streams and the audio and things like that. I think you can always repurpose some of those clips. There's a lot of great tools that allow you just to capture maybe that and then reshare that. But I would also just add, the writer in me is speaking here. That our audience also likes to, different parts of our audience does like to receive content in different ways and forms and things like that. So having a written post of it, that's a great way to also put that on your featured section, as a featured post that you've done. Just a real quick, like, intro, but also that you could do the video of that as well. So I think there's multiple ways that you can do it. Like Shell said, it doesn't have to be necessarily in writing. But I personally think like if you've seen some exponential growth, if you're, I mean, I do. I'm not, we're not numbers girls per se, and we don't like live and die by the numbers. But I track my followers. I see kind of incremental growth, and if I were to see a spike in my followers or even in my connections, I'm probably going to then take some time and say, hey, I am, on the verge of being a crazy cat lady, but I promise I'm a really good coach as well. That might be a post. I don't know.
That's not the
But
only reason people come and follow you.
so, I might be, I mean, my oldest son, my oldest son, he's my only son, was like, yep, mom and dad, you still have the cat. So, he's our baby. But yes, I had to gratuitously squeeze Mr. Simpson into the conversation. But yeah, I think it's always good to just reconnect with your audience in ways. And one of my personal goals, and I don't mind sharing, is just sharing more of my own personal stories of, challenges, just more sharing more of that private side, which I tend not to do, but knowing that that does tend to resonate more with my audience. And so I am trying to get better at that, in that regard. So this is like the core foundation, just to kind of give you guys an idea, like how we coach in the academy, things of that nature, which we're bringing live to these sessions now. And the month of June is all about personal brands. So, definitely let us know if you're liking this format, questions you have for us, anything along those lines. The other thing I'd like to ask you guys, and this is part of developing your why, is are you clear on who you're talking to on LinkedIn? Who is your ideal audience? So drop in the chat, who are you here to help? And be as specific as you can. Now, I'm also going to take this one step further. This is an amazing opportunity, depending, no matter how many people are in the, in the room or watching live right now on all the different channels and things of that nature, as a great networking tool. Because the fact is, you guys are here, you're here to, whether you're here to support us or here to learn, but you can also support one another. So this is a great opportunity to say, hey, this is my ideal audience. This is the person or the people I serve. Who do you know? Maybe we should have a conversation. Maybe we should have you on a LinkedIn Live and, or a podcast or anything of that nature. So, yeah, I always have to give shout outs to Judy and Mr. Simpson. It like goes hand in hand. So, but this is a great opportunity. And even Merrill, who, who's very humble. I mean, he's such an amazing supporter of everybody. He also serves, all of us in so many ways. He is the guy that keeps, I've got to come up with a good term, but really keeps us informed of what's happening. But he is such a supporter of these programs, not just Shell and me, myself, but so many other people. And so, like, I've got to come up with like who your audience is, Meryl. Who do you support? I need to give you an avatar of your ideal audience member. So, Shell, who is your ideal audience? If you were being coached right now, how would you respond to that question?
Yeah. Well,
And yours is kind of in a little flux right now. It's like
yeah, which
you're
is the hesitation. So this may sound a little generic, but I'm going to roll with it anyway and hear me out on this. So, my ideal audience at the moment is purpose driven coaches. Now, previously, it was health and wellness professionals, health and wellness coaches that incorporated a lot of things: mindset, confidence, life coaches, business coaches, professional development coaches, career coaches. And I think the health, even though that's still very true, I think having it under the umbrella of health and wellness was getting a little clouded. So by calling those people, also I'll put PQ coaches in that mix as well, positive intelligence, and a few other various like health and wellness coaches. Like it's all the same thing to me. Even you're just looking at things through a different lens. And so calling everybody a purpose-driven coach feels much more aligned now for me to be able to impact and reach more people and serve in a much more comprehensive way than just that one. Like I felt like I was putting myself in a box a little bit of saying health and wellness. Well, not everybody responded to that, because not everybody sees what they do as health and wellness focused, even if I could see it through that lens. So yes, it's coaches, it's purpose driven coaches, those who want to help other people and impact more lives for the better. And it doesn't matter what kind of coach they are, really, because every coach is going to fall under that. Because the reason that you're coaching ultimately is because you want to be the change that you saw was needed in the world. And so I can vibe with that. And so that's my audience, purpose driven coaches.
Ironically, and I don't even know, I don't, okay, so if you've watched us long enough to know, whether it's been Clubhouse or LinkedIn Audio, now LinkedIn Lives, we oftentimes have these little synergy moments that we don't sometimes realize that we have. So, do you know what my headline says?
Career coach and LinkedIn strategist, that one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. The only headline I have, girl.
I mean, I can see it right in front of me. Yes, yes.
Yeah, but
Okay.
there
What's the
should
trick question here?
there is a trick question here, but now I'm kind of wondering, maybe I've tricked myself, because I may have edited. Okay, but read my headline. I just the first line of it. Are you on my profile?
I will be in 2 seconds.
Because the fact that you chose the word purpose driven, that's the cue here. And I don't even think you realize that you like, because I don't want people to be like, oh, that's a. I mean, people I'm sure you're all already are like, oh, this is going to be corny.
It's taking a moment to load because
Okay,
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I'll, I'm gonna,
purpose
I'll,
driven.
yeah.
Yep.
So I'm your
I don't
career
even think I
coach.
knew that was there, or if I did, it
I,
was like unconscious.
I almost guarantee you probably did not know that it was there. Maybe it was a little unconscious. Yes, unconscious. A more of a subconscious type of thing. But my headline is basically, and I do introduce myself, guys, all the time as career coach, LinkedIn strategist. Like that's how I introduce myself. But my headline actually says career coach, empowering mid to executive level professionals to achieve purpose driven career transitions. That's my headline. Like that's my goal. Like that's the person that I'm working, that is my audience of like individuals that are just tired of being in the kind of the same old muck and are looking for something and that purpose is different for everyone. That purpose has, so I just found that I'm literally like, I don't even think Shell realized, like when she's saying this, I'm like, oh, that's in my headline, is like that's how how I define who my audience is. So
I don't think I ever like. I think I knew it was there. Like I've probably seen it before, but I don't think I've ever called it out or latched onto
I
it.
think I was playing around with like, and by the way, guys, we're going to get into your profile. It is going to be a little bit, but we're going to get into the profile. So yes, I love a good corny moment. I am that person deep down. I really am, Meryl. So, but yeah, no, I just think it's again just this when you kind of find when you find that synergy and that that goes to the why, I think is also really important. Is like, oh my gosh, that sticks with me. That that's where I'm at. So um based on that, I definitely want to kind of start talking a little bit about brand identity, and this kind of ties into that in terms of your headline, but it's also maybe what you say on your posts, things of that nature. So, is really understanding how internal clarity shows up externally. So, again, on your profile, on your content, in your conversations, you want this to be consistent and you want it to feel natural for you. So, you want it to be where everybody knows, oh yeah, when I think of this situation, this is who I think of. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily always think of me as like, oh, is she the person that helps, like, she works with job seekers, right? And that is my primary audience. But I do work with consultants, I do work with entrepreneurs, and I work with them on the LinkedIn side. Now, I don't push that necessarily in terms of my audience, but I do welcome that. And so I think it's a good point that you can be specific with your audience, but know that that doesn't necessarily mean you're limited to that, um, based on how that. And I think for Shell, that's a great example of Shell. She did niche down into the health and wellness, but was finding that some of the health in people that I would say are in the health and wellness space as well don't identify as in the health and wellness space, and for whatever reason. And so by opening it up, she opens it up to a wider audience in that regard. So it can happen both ways. And
Fun
I think
fun
that's
LinkedIn
something
fact.
important to know.
Fun LinkedIn fact, even on LinkedIn in your industry selection, if you were to go and look at like where wellness falls, wellness doesn't even identify as under health. Wellness is categorized in the LinkedIn verse under entertainment. It's wellness and fitness. For me, that just doesn't track very well, but like even on LinkedIn does not identify wellness as part of health. And so that already there is a disconnect between like what people think they want to show up as and how LinkedIn actually categorizes you. So I think I have now bridged that gap a little bit more, to not disconnect from the people that I really want to reach.
So I want to ask if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I want to talk a little bit before. I think we're at a good kind of stopping point of where we can pick up on, not next week, but the week after. We'll be back live in the week after, where we'll start kind of diving more into our brand identity as well as into our brand differentiation and our strengths, which is something that's really important. But I want to take just a few minutes to, just say, like, tonight, as we said at the very beginning, tonight's just this. This is just a little taste. This is a beginning. Um, we are on the second month or second Thursday of every month hosting a masterclass. And Shell, do you want to kind of explain how we've set these master classes up? Because I think it's something that's kind of different. You're not going to necessarily see this format in other places, but this is going to give you a chance, what I call like low pressure. Um, you're still going to be held accountable. You still have us to come here on the weeks that we're not having a master class, but you have time to work on this without feeling this strain of like, oh my God, I invested in something and I'm not doing any of the work, which,
Yeah.
well, has been me.
I yeah, I think what's great about these masterclass sessions is it's like more in-depth like coaching and a little bit of teaching here too, because people may not know all the different things, but like it's also co-working. Like we are actively like going through stuff, screen shares on as needed, right? Like we're talking through the different sections and figuring things out in real time. And I'm not just talking about figuring out your why or optimizing different parts of your profile. It's really like specific to, okay, here's what if you need more help with this thing and it's part of that core topic, we're going to dive deeper on it. And then you have the added benefit of like being able to do it in a group setting where you can bounce the ideas off of other people that are there. You also have the added benefit of having two LinkedIn people in your corner cheering you on, not just one cheerleader or one LinkedIn strategist over here, right? Like, no, I think we got to get you some pom poms too. But you have to get that added, and that really is a benefit to like have two of us there with you, getting into it, helping you figure it out, and like figuring it out right in there so that you can take action on those things instead of like, oh well, I said I was going to do it and now I just don't have. No, like this is, we're carving out the time so that you can do it, and we've made it a 90-minute session instead of 60 minutes so that we don't get cut off and that everybody can have their questions answered and feel like they walk away like having actually done the thing.
And here's a great thing, guys. We've set it up where all you have to do is pay. This is a paid masterclass. I want to be transparent in that. But we've set it up where you can just join us for the one masterclass. And this, if this is a topic that you feel like you need help with, or want to start a reset with, or just refine what you already have, you can pay for the one masterclass. If you want to book, 3 sessions, because we're going to do them for the rest of the year and onward, you can book them for 3, 6 months, as well as up to a year. We are working on some extra bonuses for the different levels that you can kind of sign into. I've got the QR code up here for you as well. That's going to take you straight to the Eventbrite page, where you can get all the information. But next Thursday, June the 12th, from 6 to 7:30, it is going to be 90 minutes. We're going to dive deeper into some of these questions, but so much more. You're also going to walk away with a workbook that you will have that can be ongoing. But you're going to discover your why. You're going to align it with your brand. We're going to help you kind of craft that positioning statement to stand out without being salesy, which is one of the things that we both resonate with. And then fixing any branding or personal branding mistakes, or any challenge, answering your challenges one-on-one, but or in a group setting, small group setting. So spaces are limited. I do want to say that, but we're really super excited. So I'd love to know if you guys like this format. Let us know in the comments, or other questions that we have as we wrap up our first session tonight.
As you know, our LinkedIn live sessions, there's always replays available. And anyone who attends the master classes, you'll also have access to those replays as well.
So yeah, so I do hope that you'll join us. Really consider it, and we're super excited. And yeah, on that note, any additional closing thoughts that we should, as we head out for the evening, Shell?
Yeah, I mean, so I do want to, let me just get the document in front of me so that I don't misspeak. So just to give you an overview, because we have broken this down for like the next 12 months, so that we can better serve everyone here. We've broken this down into 4 core topics. So obviously tonight we're talking about, discovering your why, and that's under the core topic of personal branding. Now, if you want to talk about other things that are personal branding related, we've got 2 other months that deal specifically with personal branding. If you want to focus your time and energy on more the profile optimization, we've got 3 months dedicated just to that. There's also a core topic of finding the right people. That way, you're surrounding yourself and building your network. Um, Effectively, and like finding the right people to get in front of, stay on their radar, have conversations with. And then that final core topic is strategic engagement. So we've broken this down in a way where like the core topics don't just repeat, for 3 consecutive months. We've broken it down so that you can really get a little bit of each thing and jump in whenever feels good for you, depending on where you're at with what you want to do with your with lock. If I have words with rocking LinkedIn. So I do also have that monthly breakdown somewhere. Here it is. Okay. So obviously we're in the month of June. That's personal branding month. July will be profile optimization. August will be finding the right people. September will be strategic engagement. And then it refreshes. October will be personal branding again. November will be profile optimization. December will be finding the right people. January 2026 will be strategic engagement. Again, we'll restart the topics. February 2026 will be personal branding. March 2026 will be profile optimization. April 2026 will be finding the right people. And then we'll complete our year cycle with May 2026 strategic engagement. So again, you can have access as much as or as little as your heart's desire. If you want to join all the free lives, you're more than welcome to. If you want to just wait specifically for a topic that resonates or that you want to learn more of, you're happy to do that as well. And if you want to get more in depth or have more ongoing support, then we encourage you to join the master classes so that we can co-work alongside you. That felt like a mouthful, but like it's a lot of information to make sure that you have.
Yes, and if you have any questions, please let us know. Please message us. We're happy to answer them. And yeah, we invite you to. Hopefully, you'll join us for. I always say, join us for one masterclass. See what it's like. You're going to walk away, and we're going to have a little fun. You're going to walk away with an actual product of the work. So super excited about it, and yeah, I'm super excited about doing this, folks.
Wow,
So.
Mel Richards, thank you. We're excited to have you.
So super excited to have Mel Richards. So now you have more reason to join because it's going to be a party. So um, yeah, and we also do like to have fun. I mean, that's the other thing. I want to just like LinkedIn can be fun. LinkedIn isn't always like Shell today was frustrated, but hopefully the LinkedIn gods are doing their thing. I realized after she given them permission, I wrote a private message to her basically saying, "Oh, well, that person probably is new or probably doesn't realize that they don't actually
I
fit
just gave them
this."
access to poke around, so hopefully they're not reading that
So I
message.
wrote another message to her in case they were poking around. By the way, thank you for being such a great person, an amazing support person. We truly appreciate and value you. So I may have poked the LinkedIn gods to not give Shell her, as I refer to them, the twirling banner. Um, but yeah, if you guys are having any LinkedIn challenges or anything, please share as well. Let us know. We might be able to help you, or at least give you some ideas of some roundabout ways to resolve issues that you might be having. And my support for Shell was like, I don't know, maybe it was my time, as I wrote on her post, my unfortunate incarceration maybe taught me some patience with LinkedIn, and so I tend not to get like I have this weird thing. I can get frustrated, and Shell knows this about a lot of things, but when it comes to like LinkedIn stuff, like they could take something away, and I'll be like, yeah, like I just don't. But I'm like that with traveling too. Once I get to the airport, I'm literally like, oh, our plane's delayed. Okay. Like I do not get upset. I'm the most chilled traveler, and outside of that last flight I had where I was on a runway for 3 hours. But honestly, I took a nap for an hour and a half of it, and then they gave us snacks, and we were still on the tarmac. So that's a whole other story. So I mean, I'm like a 5-year-old child. Okay, I literally took a nap. I woke up. They woke us up. They gave us snacks. We're still on the tarmac, and I'm like, okay. Life's good, folks. So, on that note, everyone have an amazing weekend. I consider Thursday night the weekend. And,
I thought today was Friday for half the day, so
I
I mean,
cannot
it
lie.
basically is.
I'll tell a quick story. So my daughter, of course, has gone to Kentucky. So I have made this irrational promise of, and not, it's more of a promise to me. She thinks it's crazy, but I'm going to text her every single day with the day that she's been in Kentucky because she's supposed to be there for 6 years. Um, and I've like said, no, I'm going to text you every day for 6 years. So I send like day one, day two, and I had a fear on Tuesday that I had missed a day, and I was like, oh my God, it's day 16. Yesterday was day 14. How did that happen? No, it was still day 15. I really did not miss a day, but I had convinced myself that I had missed a whole day, and I didn't have any recollection of what I did that day. So that tells you how the week's going, folks. So, but it was still Tuesday, and I haven't missed a day for the 16 days that she has been in Kentucky. So we'll see how far that goes. On that note, we're going to end. We're going to wrap things up, and we will not see you back next week unless you join us for the masterclass. But we will be back the third week of, I was going to say July, June. And
I
we will
mean,
see you
I
then.
almost just said January. That would be so
So
we'll see you back here on June 19th.
thank you. I don't have a calendar in front of me, and clearly we both need to wrap it up. Good night.